Yeah, no, it was good to get a good team win. Was happy with a lot of things, especially offensively. Felt like really efficient in what we did. A lot of good decisions. You could tell with the just not very many incompletions, making good decisions, getting the ball in the right spot. So I thought that was good. Defensively, I thought it was good to get some guys some reps and get the depth going. It was good to get Armani and Tylen over there, given the injury situation. So I thought that was good. And again, having some tackles for loss and getting some turnovers, thought that was really good. The injury situation, C.J. Miller and Miles Hartfield rolled their ankles. I think C.J. may be a little bit worse off than Miles. Miles came back. C.J. did not. But they will try and go this week, but we'll know more as the week goes on. So they'll be day to day, and then hoping to get Victor Evans back. He did not play last week. I'm hoping to hopefully get Victor back to give us some depth there. Moving on to Arkansas, a big road game for us. Watching the tape, first thing that jumped out to me was their defensive line. They're very, very good up front, have a good front seven. Offensively, did a lot of shifts and motions. Was really impressed with them last week. I think you see them getting better and better. So, but definitely a very capable and good football team. We'll have to play well to win.
After getting the weekend look at film, just your thoughts on Corral's performance in the second half, what you saw from him.
No, good. I was very pleased with him. He showed the ability to hand the ball off, to make the throws when in the RPO game, having to make those decisions, and obviously the ability to pull it and run it, and make a big play. So I think he brings something a little bit different to the table, just a little bit different personality. But was happy to get him some quality reps and get it with the first team offensive line and the first team receivers. I thought that was important.
On defense, now that you've got guys plugged in and got over that transition period, what do you see as the next step for you guys?
Well, I think they were in there, especially Tylen on with a limited package. So you'd like to see their package be able to grow and not be, having to call certain things just because the guy's in there. But Armani has a pretty good feel for the defense, just getting back there and getting comfortable again, and then obviously Tylen getting 1 week better so he can grow his package.
Coach, Arkansas has obviously kind of had some personnel issues in trying to adjust to the first-year scheme on the offensive side. They put up 31 points last week. Have you noticed them improving on film in that sense?
Yeah, I think they're trying to settle in. They've settled in on a quarterback and using Story as their starter, and then having a package for Cole Kelly. So I think they've kind of settled into that. They did a really good job with shifts and motions last week. I thought they did an outstanding job. Shifts, motions, keeping Alabama off balance, and then getting their tight ends involved. They did a good job with some screens to slow the pass rush down and things like that. So I think they are kind of settling into who they are, but I think they did an outstanding job last week.
We'll take a question up top. Coach Luke, another big road test coming up this weekend, traveling a big environment in a night game. But what kind of a challenge is it going to be to play on the road in another SEC stadium and a team like Arkansas? And what do they bring all around as well?
No, yeah. In any time, it's always a huge challenge to go on the road and play. You have to deal with the crowd noise and things like that. But again, any time that you're in this conference and you go on the road, you got to have the mental toughness enough to be able to block out the distractions and do your job over and over and over again, regardless of the circumstance. So that's what I think we saw some more of that this past week, and I just want to build on that and then take it on the road and be able to just to lock in and focus and do your job for 4 quarters.
Hey, Matt, Arkansas's won the last 4 in this series, some of them in really kind of bizarre fashion. The lateral in 2015 and then losing the big lead here last year. Have you been involved in a series that's kind of turned that way with just non-traditional success for one team?
Yeah, I mean it has gone that way. It's been some different games, but I think we got to focus on this team and this year. But it has been kind of a different series. But they've come out ahead here the last few times. But it'll be important for us this year to go play good football, to not turn the ball over, to do the little things it takes to win those games. Because usually, even though games are quirky, it still comes down to 2 or 3 plays either way. And, you got to make sure you handle your business, and so the plays go your way.
Was it a goal for you guys last week for Jordan to become more involved in the run game, or did he just see openings?
No, a little bit of that was him getting back, being healthy, and running him a little bit more. But, I thought that there are opportunities for him to run the football. It was just they presented themselves maybe a little bit more last week.
Yeah. At linebacker, where do you see you guys right now? Are y'all developing, getting better?
Yeah, I do. We're playing some young guys, some true freshmen, and they are getting better. Momo probably played his best game fit-wise last week. So I do think the young guys are getting better, and, there's still a lot of improvement to make, but I do see them getting better, in not only in the run game, but also eye discipline. There's a couple of things that happen, throwing a screen out of the backfield, and a linebacker shows up and makes the play. So there are some things happening that shows progress, but still got to keep coming.
Speaking of Momo, I mean, you guys have moved guys around at linebacker for various reasons, but he's been the one constant. What has earned him that?
Just this combination of, having the experience now and being able to get people lined up and making calls, talking to the defensive line based on the formation he sees. And so I think he's done a really, really good job with that. It's hard in this league. You can't just play the same guys over and over. You have to create some depth so guys don't have to stay on the field as long, and that's where we need to get better.
I know back in fall you guys were talking about how impressed you were by how, I guess, his football IQ and how much that's grown since the past year. Have you seen further growth over the first half of the season?
Sure. I think the best teacher is experience, and the more he plays, the better he'll continue to get.
Questions?
What's been, through 6 games, your evaluation of the defensive front and where you think they stand now as you prepare to have, 6 SEC games in a row?
Yeah, I thought, maybe they played really well in the first game, not so good against Southern Illinois, but then they bounced back. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've played really well as far as getting penetration. You saw at Kent State, and then even against LSU getting penetration in the backfield. Then again last week. So I think they are improving. They are penetrating. They are developing an identity. So I think they'll moving forward, they have a chance to be the strength of our defense. They just have to keep coming and making plays.
I know you guys want to take one game at a time, but was there any different feel at practice yesterday after having a dominant win?
I think there's definitely no comparison to the feeling in the building after a win and after a loss. It's a different feeling. But I do think that the guys were frustrated after the LSU game, and I thought they had a good week of practice. And it's just got to continue to get 1 week better. And I think if the teams that win in October, November, are the ones that keep on improving. And so I think that's important that we do that.
Matt, is there an eagerness among you guys from an offensive perspective to just compete better and post some of these numbers against an SEC defense?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think no matter what defense that you play against, you have to go out there and you want to put up numbers against whoever you're playing. So I think it doesn't matter what the game is or who you're playing. You want to go out there and live up to your standard. It's not really so much about who you're playing; it's about wanting to play as good as you can possibly play. And I think if we take that approach, I think we'll be better off.
It looked like on Saturday, on defense, we threw a lot of blitz packages at them. Is that just trying to get to stop the run? Was that to make losses?
Well,
what you think?
We didn't want that quarterback to sit back and get comfortable because he was a running quarterback, and if you played coverage, he could pull the ball down and run. So we were just trying to keep him off balance and not let him hurt us with our feet. He broke out a couple of times, but for the most part, it was good because we were able to get pressure on him and make him get the ball out of his hands because we felt like he was their leading rusher and also could make some things happen. And if you played zone, he could scramble. So that's why the pressure was so much.